All right, welcome back to another Clone Wars recap. This time we are on episode 6, Decommissioned of the Bad Batch. Robbie and Clem joining me as always. How are you fellas?
Doing good. First things first, I loved Decommissioned as the title. That makes me feel like it's like a proper thing. I'm like, oh, we're decommissioning shit now. This is getting serious. And this was the first episode I watched with my daughter, Sienna, 6-year-old, who was a diehard Star Wars fan at like the age of 2 randomly. I've told this story on My Mom's Basement, but I just turned on Star Wars when she was a little kid, not even like she was just sitting there. So I figured she didn't care. I turned it on, and just when that Star Destroyer like flies overhead with the Carillion ship or whatever, and she went, whoa, like her mind was every mind that was in the theater in 1977, and seeing that in like a kid's eyes for the first time was awesome. So she came in today. She hasn't watched any of these Star Wars cartoons because that's just never been her thing, because I've never watched them, and she was hooked from the jump. So I think I have you guys, all the listeners, and then my little girl, or all my my little buddies here, my Bad Batch buddies.
That's amazing. We're gonna have to. I swear, we got to send you a good list of Clone Wars episodes, because if she liked this, oh my God, when you introduce lightsabers and Yoda and Anakin, like when you introduce all of that, she's gonna go crazy for it. And Ahsoka too. Like you said, Sienna always loves like the Gamora style characters, the strong female characters. I mean, Ahsoka is an amazing one. Yeah. So I'm doing well though. I was just thinking this morning, like I was just watching the Bad Batch, and I was like, I'm fucking so happy that we have all this right now as a Star Wars fan. Like next week, we're going to have Loki and the Bad Batch weekly. We're going to wake up on Wednesdays, watch Loki, and then we're going to wake up on Fridays and watch the Bad Batch. It's just a great time to be a nerd, a great time to be a Star Wars Marvel fan. So I watched this. I loved the episode. I thought it was good. And the whole time I was watching it, like I said, I was just like, I'm so happy that we get all this stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like Fridays for me, when they would have Falcon the Winter Soldier, and then they would have Invincible, and I would just do them back to back, and it was such a great Friday. Then now we're gonna get that, like you're saying, again, and we're gonna have Loki and Bad Batch back into the same week, just like two of our nerdgasm things.
Mickey Mouse, he's in like full Heisenberg mode. Like he has all his people they're hooked now. Like he got us hooked with obviously the first couple of the series, and now he has them both rolling at the same time. And the Venn diagram of, I imagine, Marvel fans and Star Wars fans is overlaps pretty well right now. With the Disney Plus stuff at least. So I feel like we're gonna be getting hooked to this app pretty fucking hardcore in the next.
I mean, Black Widow next month. We got Shang-Chi after that. We got Eternals. We got Spider-Man. We got the Hawkeye show. We got What If.
Hype us up, Bob Fox.
Obi-Wan right next year. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yep. Oh, speaking of the mouse, this is going to be our big time grit episode, as Clem pointed out. So behind Robbie Fox right now is a lot of construction, which is eased down a little bit. And I'm going to cut in the clips, the videos that both of us took of this. So
you might be able to hear it.
You have construction going on behind you that started right before we booted up the episode. And in my studio that I'm doing it in right now at the Barstool office, there was just a mouse running around somewhere. What's worse, having that or a mouse in your studio? And I'll cue up both of these clips back to back. I mean, this is going to be a very interesting episode if this motherfucker just bounces out somewhere. But we'll see.
It's like your version of the mouse droid for this episode. You know, you're on a Star Destroyer, scooting down the hall.
Zipping around.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, so we could go into the breakdown of the episode. We start out, we're back on Ord Mantell. You see little Omega there. She's being trained on the bowcaster. I'm calling it the bowcaster. It's not like the fucking Wookiee bowcaster, but like it's basically a bowcaster. It's like the ones they used, like the Sith, like the Night Sisters used for Clone Wars watchers. It's a bowcaster, right? We can call it that.
It's like a rudimentary version of it. Yeah, it's like when you talk about like a crossbow versus a bow and arrow, I feel like it's that's almost the difference there. You might hear the construction. I'm sorry. I thought that weapon was badass though. Like when she was using it, when she was pulling it back, I was like, all right, this is like, if this becomes Omega's signature weapon, that would be really cool. I mean, not to make a Lord of the Rings reference, but if we get a little Lego loss in the Star Wars universe, I'm down for it.
Okay, good. Because I was like, is this the first time this weapon's been shown, or is this like a Clone Wars thing? Because I fucking loved it, and I was like, they're gonna be like, yeah, guy, like, yeah, buddy, this was like the pilot episode of Clone Wars. They had one of these things. I fucking loved it too. I love like this is the evolution of Star Wars when you're getting little shit like this. And I love that the like strings of the bow and arrow are laser as well. So that made it very cool. And it gave me big time Nerf vibes. Did you guys have the old Nerf bow and arrow? Oh, I fucking love that thing. That was one of the great Nerf. Oh, man, Nerf weapons are still a thing, right? Yeah, we had those in the office a few. I remember Caleb Monroe did a video on it. I was the
MVP of that tournament.
And they're updating too. Now they got the little balls. They went from like the big darts to the little darts, now to the balls. Like the Nerf guns are updating like Star Wars weapons.
When I can start popping my kids with Nerf weapons, that's when I'll start enjoying parenthood again.
They do Fortnite guns. I think we had Star Wars Imperial blasters. It was sick.
Yeah, we did. Cool. We had like the Star Wars Stormtrooper guns. Those were really cool.
Really cool. Yeah. But yeah, it's really like a kind of nice little family moment, Echo teaching Omega how to shoot the bow, again, not bowcaster, but bow weapon, whatever we're going to call it. And then they get a new mission from Sid, who's like, hey, look, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go and retrieve a tactical droid from a decommissioning factory on Corellia. Tactical droids we've seen before in Clone Wars. They're kind of just like robotic generals that work for the Confederation of what was it? CIS, Confederation of some whatever. So they are basically robot generals. And before they go, Hunter's like, we're not sure if we're going to take this mission. And Sid's just like, well, here, I'll decide for you. You are taking the mission. And that was that. That was the only discussion that needed to be had.
Yeah, she alphaed them. Big time alpha. And they tucked their tails and they were like, all right, I guess we fucking work for Sid now.
I love Sid's necklace too. Like I get intimidated just by Sid's necklace. Whatever the fuck that is, I'm like, yeah, I'll do the mission. Fuck it, I'll join the Bad Batch and do whatever you tell me, Sid.
I love Rhea Perlman too. It's like she has the perfect voice for this type of role. And so they're going to Corellia. Corellia is obviously the homeworld of Han Solo. It's a big starship building planet. We saw it in the beginning of Solo: A Star Wars Story. So they go over there and they do the little Millennium Falcon technique on their way there. If you remember from Empire Strikes Back, they do this to escape a Star Destroyer. They dock the Millennium Falcon on it. And they use this to sneak into the Imperial ship, or not Imperial shipyard, but they do to sneak onto the decommissioning factory in Corellia. Inside the factory, they get into the factory. They zero in on the tactical droid, but before they can steal it, it gets stolen by Trace and Rafa. So these are characters that you probably don't know, Clem, if you haven't watched Clone Wars. Yeah, so Trace and Rafa, they're sisters from the final season of Clone Wars that help out Ahsoka a lot. So now we have competing groups. Bad Batch and the sisters are both going after this tactical droid, or we should say it's tactical droid's head, because the body's gone. It's just the head.
Yeah. The first thing I want to note is when they landed on Corellia, I loved the animated look of it because it looked exactly like it did at the beginning of Solo. It was very recognizable, I feel like, even if you're kind of a casual Star Wars fan, Jesus, this construction is annoying.
It's not bad, Bob. Don't worry.
I can't even hear it. Yeah,
but if you're, it's annoying for me in my ears. If you're like a casual Star Wars fan, you're like, Corellia. What is Corellia? As soon as they land there, you have to know it's the planet from Solo because they made it look so good. And bringing in the characters from the Clone Wars, I like. We talked about this in our Clone Wars breakdowns. Like, not our favorite Clone Wars arc from that final season, obviously the Trace and Rafa one, but it was good, and I like that word world building. Like, Dave Filoni's very good at world building. He's done it phenomenally in not only The Mandalorian, but now in Clone Wars. He connects both of them now. So I like that they've brought them in. I like that the future opens up for more world building. And like I said, fingers crossed for Boba Fett.
All right. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna measure my words here because I know we have a fan of it. The word Corellia, going to the planet Corellia, it triggers me because the Solo story was like the final fucking nail in the coffin. Where I was like, Star Wars 1.0, whatever the fuck, 2.0. Like, my love of Star Wars was basically on life support before then, and then it was dead. And I think all the actions Disney took afterwards kind of hammered it home. I know Ken Jack's a fan or not a pure hater of it, but just even seeing the word Corellia just gets me so fucking, because I was really excited to see Corellia after hearing about it, throughout the different stuff in Star Wars lore. Corellia and Coruscant were kind of the two things I was really excited for. And then I got them in the prequels and Solo, and I'm just like, what the fuck, man? So I'll admit this did a better job, healing the wounds there, but I still have some residual Solo pain in my heart.
You were like killed by Solo, and then Grogu was the fucking Pulp Fiction adrenaline shot in your heart.
Yeah,
that is a fucking vision of me as Uma Thurman. I fucking foaming out of the nose and the mouth, and then Grogu just fucking hammers me.
Filoni and Jon Favreau come in. They're like, we can't let him die because it was like me. They had to bring you back to, and I was like, You can't fucking kill my Star Wars fan. He's my Star Wars fan.
So now Bob is Marcellus Wallace in this comparison, which is the most hilarious comparison of them all right there.
the beefiest motherfucker in the room right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love that. I love that comparison. But yeah, no, I think it looked very true to the live action version, which is cool. And again, like almost like you were saying, Clem, like Corellia is something like a planet we've heard about, I feel like so much in Star Wars lore, but like didn't really get a ton of like actual looks at, especially in like the more mainstream media franchises. So like it's cool. It's cool always going back to a planet like that and like getting more of a look at it. And looked awesome. All the droids were cool. I guess we didn't even see a lot of people, but like the factory personnel looked interesting. I'll say that much. So they get into a little bit of a tussle, and they basically lock down the factory. All of these police droids come streaming in, and they're all having. Oh, there's the mouse again. Please just leave this room. Oh my God, get out of here.
Hey, use the Force like Omega or something. Like, don't harm it. Just get it out of your way. You know what I'm saying?
I wish I could. It's just fucking standing there. Anyway,
give the listeners. Are we talking gray mouse, black mouse, white mouse? What are we dealing with?
It's like a little gray mouse about yay big. It's not like scary or anything like that. But I don't
it's not a
want
rat.
it in this room.
Remember the rat that was in our lobby that like jumped up on someone?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Za was the one that got the video of it. It was a crazy video. That was a rat too. Thank God it's just
next time it shows up, I'll get a video of it and I'll insert it into here. But anyway, they lock down the entire factory. All these police droids come streaming in, and they get into a big fight between basically the Bad Batch and the sisters kind of have to team up and fight the police droids while they're also fighting with each other and trying to get the droid's head. While this is happening, Wrecker is like kind of dealing with his head injury still, and he does like a whole like Tarzan swing, hits his head on a column and hurts it again. He goes down like on his knees, and like you hear him start repeating the phrase, soldiers follow orders, which for me and Robbie, big time trigger phrase, because we know that is what they said after like their biochip would get activated and they realized like, okay, we have to kill Jedi now. And that's something I guess news for you too, Clem. Like that is their phrase. Anytime the clones were about to like go off and try and kill Jedi, they would say good soldiers follow orders, because like that's whatever the trigger phrase. It's their Bucky Barnes, like like the phrase they've given. That's it for them.
That's a very good way to put it.
That's what Bucky did before he murdered like the greatest patriot of all time and his wife in cold blood. Yeah, no, I got you, Ken.
Yeah, okay. Good. I just want to make sure.
This is going to be a problem though, because I think we all like Wrecker and we also all like Omega, and I feel like that's exactly the target that it's going to focus on when it happens. So Chekhov's headache is being bashed over our heads, for lack of a better term.
It really is. Exactly. Credit to Dave Filoni for making me like Wrecker. I feel like I've broken record. I say it every week, but like I like Wrecker at this point. And when he turns, I'm going to feel a little bad about it. And when the Bad Batch maybe has to turn against him, so they've done a very good job with the character. I think they've done a very good job of like making us wait for this. And it's like, when is it going to happen? It's like now it's every week. It's up in the air. Is it going to happen next week? Is it going to happen next week? So yeah, I like the whole storyline of where this is going. The head injury, him actually saying the phrase and giving us that tease, but not giving the Bad Batch that tease, like letting the audience in on it before letting his friends in on it. Big fan of this whole. It's probably my favorite like ongoing arc in the show right now.
Little subtext behind it. I love that. So they're basically Omega gets trapped on this conveyor belt within the factory. Big time shades of Attack of Clones, which we'll get more into later. And so one of the sisters, I believe it was Trace, basically gets her trapped and then runs away. Cece's trapped and she's like, "Oh, I can't just leave this person here. I'm a good person too." So she goes back and helps them. They hope to kind of have to work together to escape the factory. They have this funny little like who's on first routine with is there an echo in here? That was very funny.
That was good. It was good stuff.
So, is there an echo here? Yeah, right here. There was literally the who. Like I love humor like that. Call me a simple brain all you want. That sort of routine will always make me laugh.
I agree. Who's on first is like classic. I did one of those in one of my Man on the Street videos. It was around the time It came out as a movie, and I was at Comic-Con, and someone was dressed as like the little boy from It with the raincoat and the balloon. I was like, "What are you dressed as?" She was like, "The kid from It." I was like, "What? What's It?" And we went through the whole thing.
So in order to escape these droids, they essentially figure out that they can reprogram the tactical droid's head that they have and use it to activate all of the battle droids that are in this decommissioning factory and use them to attack the battle droids or the police droids that are there. This is a very cool scene. Just anytime, like, if we're not in the Clone Wars era, really, and like we see battle droids, I love that. Like we saw it a little bit in Rebels and a couple other.
Wasn't there one like hung up in Babu Frick's workshop? I want to say they were like the feet of a battle droid or something hung up in the ceiling or something. I just liked hearing them. I was like, oh my god, the battle droid voices.
Holy shit! I forgot about Babu Frick. I thought he was gonna be a star of stars, and just the way it all kind of panned out with the movie and then kind of his role. I liked Babu Frick, actually. I think I have warm feelings in my soul. He was actually
one of the universally liked moments of that movie, I would say. Yeah. And there are not many universally liked moments of the sequel trilogy, but I think Babu Frick is one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Who was the really like high slug character that we thought was going to be much bigger too?
Oh, Claude.
Claude, that's right.
Yeah.
What a name. Claude. Claude.
Like KLAUD or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, they use the battle droids to help them escape. But while they escape, the tactical droid that they have, the head gets destroyed. So basically, right before they separate, Rafa tells Hunter, like, hey, like, we needed that because we were basically going to use that information to help fight against the Empire. But and like, they have a little back and forth, like, yeah, but I guess you guys should be working for the Empire because you're clones. And they realize like they're kind of on the same side in that element. So Hunter gives her a data rod, which has all the information from the tactical battle droid, so they can use that information to help fight the Empire. Which, by the way, just looks like the most inconvenient data storage device of all time. Like it's like a lightsaber lacy rugged drive. Like I don't understand that just seems so inconvenient.
So inconvenient. In what world can we go from that to the little floppy disk that they put the Death Star plans in like a couple of years? Is it all the planets just have like different technology? They're all at different spots. Oh my god, could you imagine how annoying the adapters would have to be for like power converters in the Star Wars universe? There's got to be boxes upon boxes in the Millennium Falcon of just like fucking, nope, this is an adapter for Corellia. Nope, that's an adapter for Mustafar. Like
USB-C to like data rod converter. I don't even know how that would work because again, it's like a fucking lightsaber. I don't know how it would like. Whatever. Anyway, that's a nitpicky thing, but it's important to me. So they part ways. Rafa and Trace, they contact someone. Very much looks like a Jedi, and they tell them like, look, there's these guys. They're a group of clones. I can tell you where to find them. And they help me get this information to help fight the Empire. And this, I'm assuming, and I think we can assume, is the contact that they were talking about that they was trying to help fight the Empire, right?
Yep. Who do we think it is? Yep. I have a theory in my head, but I don't know how it would connect. I don't know how it would make sense. But is it Obi-Wan?
No, that was what I was thinking.
Let's keep it for the theory section, but for now we can move into just the general reaction of it. For me, I just like how they really went directly from like the Bad Batch to this. They're like, yeah, we'll do this job because we're freeing slaves. Like that's a good job for a mercenary. They went from that to like straight up theft and like destruction of property and stuff without even a hitch. They're just like, yeah, fuck it, we'll do that. I felt like there should have been some like an in between there, right? From going from like.
They were like, nah, we broke the seal. We broke the seal. It is what it is.
Straight to grand larceny, like overnight, and they were totally fine with it, just destroying and invading this place.
Maybe they'll have a moment at the end that, like a Heisenberg, like, we did it for me. We really liked it all along.
I feel like at some point you're just like, remember, guys, we're the Bad Batch, like let's just live up to it. Who gives a shit? Like the Band-Aid's already been pulled. Who gives a fuck? I also did like, again, we talked about this last episode, where you get the whole political side of things. They're like the fact that it's not just black and white, which I feel like a lot of the early Star Wars was, where it is a lot of grays and stuff, which they can get into, which I'm sure there was plenty of with Clone Wars as well. And we saw a bunch of it in Mando. I do appreciate that kind of thing where it's like, oh, you're a stormtrooper or a clone, you must be a bad guy. So I did appreciate kind of expanding on that with this one.
Yeah, something that I thought was awesome about this episode too, just the action looked great. I feel like this is one of the biggest, like, big scale battles that we got out of the show, where it wasn't them just trying to like were kind of trying to escape, like in the same way when they were trying to like unboot their starship or whatever. But like at the same time, like this was like a serious action fight, and I feel like that fight went on for like at least like 10 minutes, and that was pretty cool, right?
Yeah, no, it was very good. All the combat was good. Like we said last week, the fluid animation, you being able to tell what is going on at all times, even in that dark, like armory or whatever. Fantastic animation throughout the whole episode. It's awesome to see the difference between season 1 and now, like the Bad Batch season 1 and the Clone Wars, and now the Bad Batch. It's almost the difference between when you watch the first Incredibles now after watching the second
Yeah.
Incredibles, you're
Yeah.
like, whoa, this is kind of wild. It's like almost literally that prominent.
Yeah, the difference in quality is very, very crazy. That's going to be something, Clem, whenever you end up watching Clone Wars, when you watch that first episode, you're going to be like, what the fuck happened? Like going back to like playing Nintendo 64.
Shout out to I got some people who sent me like there's like different videos where it kind of gives you a breakdown of everything, and I'll just see that all in like a slow progression where it just goes right through it. It'll be like when people watch different like the Breaking Bad or something and they binge it and they're like, what were you guys talking about? Like it was, and they have a completely different experience with it all. I'll have that visually for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're gonna love it once you get it really, really like into the weeds on it. But yeah, we can go into Easter eggs too, because there's I think a decent amount here. One that I noticed off the bat, just the coaching scene of like Echo teaching Omega all this, I thought was very similar to this scene. Where basically Obi-Wan's teaching like Luke, like, here's how you use a lightsaber, like, you know, it's a weapon that he's totally naive to, doesn't know how to use any of it. I thought there was maybe something there. You know, there's not the Force kind of inclusion, which obviously was big in this scene, but I think that obviously like a big prevailing theory with Omega is that she's going to be Force sensitive. So maybe that's I don't know, precursor.
It could be, and Filoni is, you know, the pseudo son of George Lucas basically at this point. So he would definitely be in on it's like poetry, it rhymes. You would have to imagine he abides by that.
Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot. Yeah. Next, the Attack of the Clones. I think factory, obviously very similar to the decommissioning factor in here. It had a bunch of shades of that scene. This factory even just looks very similar, just in general, with the smelting thing and all of that crap. The scene where Anakin gets his hand stuck in that thing. That scene always scared the shit out of me. And I was always like, how the fuck did that thing happen to have a print that was exactly the size of his arm and managed to steal his arm without destroying it? But whatever. That scene of him getting stuck there, very similar to Omega getting stuck underneath the droid and having to save him there. Next up, Tracy and Rafael, like we mentioned before, they were friends with Ahsoka in the last season, season 7 of the Clone Wars. They were kind of like underworld people that taught Ahsoka what it was like to be in the gray, like you were talking about, Clem. Like Ahsoka is someone who would very much, I think, mostly seen things in black or white. She dealt with a few people along the road, like Anakin, which obviously her master, and like other people, I think, that were like in that zone. But I think that this is a point when she's out of the Jedi Order, and this is where they teach her, like, this is what the world is really like. And I think that there are cool characters in that sense. Maybe not the greatest from execution standpoint, because, you know, like me and Robbie were saying, we didn't totally love them. But Gray Area is awesome. And they were like in the slums of Coruscant, which is an area where it's like we don't get to explore a ton, right?
It was cool, and that little, like, you know, it's I think it was featured in 1313, the video game that never happened, where it's like a big hole in the ground. It's like a big cylinder in the ground, and everyone lives like inside of it underground. Very, very cool. It's hard to describe, but Ken Jack, you could put in a picture, right?
Yeah, I'll throw in a picture here. It's very cool though. I think you enjoy that as well. So next up, there was one scene, and I'm going to pull this note here. So I noticed this while I was watching through the first time. Like my ears perked up like crazy. There was one point where the droids got activated, where it sounded like a very familiar theme. I want to see if you guys can pick up on it. Let's see. Or my voice recording thing can just absolutely get fucked and not work.
Can you sing it like they did in The Dozen, where Roman sings the tune?
All right. We good? We working here? I'm going to give it a second to do the next one first. So the droid that they found droid that the Rafa and Trace had looks a lot like R7. R7 was Ahsoka's droid in the later half of the Clone Wars. I don't know if it is because now it's working. Okay, there we go.
We need an army to get out of this. We happen to have one.
Did you activate those clankers?
You hear that part?
Oh, kind of Kylo Ren?
No, not even Kylo Ren. It was like Attack of the Droids from like the first two, especially like the fight on Naboo, the fight and Attack of Geonosis. They used a lot of those themes, which is very cool. I love that. Just anytime that, and then we talked about this with Mandalorian too. Whenever they like weave in another theme, even if it's just for an instant, it's like, oh, like
they do that. They do such a good job of that in the Clone Wars too. My Uncle Den, who we've referenced a ton on My Mom's Basement, the GOAT. He's the person that got my whole family into Star Wars. Has finally gotten into Clone Wars because of the Bad Batch. I've been talking about it, I've been telling him, and he's been loving the Bad Batch. So he said, fuck it, I'm going back and watching the whole Clone Wars. It's going to give me a better connection to the Mandalorian, all that. And the first thing he noted, he's like, they do such a good job of weaving in the John Williams cues and the little score things that, you know, the true diehards would recognize, like that Battle of the Droids thing. Oh my God, you got to be such a diehard fan to recognize that and know what it is, other than just like a little thing hitting your ear and being like, that sounds slightly familiar. But that's throughout the series. Like, credit to whoever does the score for this. I think he did the score for the Clone Wars. I think it's the same guy throughout. Yeah. Credit to them for just crushing the references and the little homages.
That was
great.
That was one of my favorite things about Game of Thrones. They would do too. They'd always put in someone's music if they referenced them or they were like showing up in the scene. And anytime you, obviously John Williams, that's the other GOAT, right? You want to talk about Uncle Den, John Williams, GOAT. So you reference that shit. It gives you like the tingly Star Wars nerd feelings inside whenever you hear it. Even I didn't even like the prequels really. I mean, I think most people didn't. But that song, that actually is a good song. I wish it was in like a better movie because it just like they did nail it. I mean, no surprise, John Williams, right?
Music undeniably slaps in the prequels. Say whatever else you want to say about the acting, script, whatever else. The music was always good.
Williams went off.
From that. Yeah, duel of the Fates, like the fight on Mustafar. Damn, man,
Duel of the Fates is as good as anything he ever wrote for Star Wars. I feel like.
Agreed 100%. Oh yeah. So anyway, R7. I don't know if it's actually R7. R7 again, Ahsoka's droid, which might imply that the secret Jedi we saw is Ahsoka. But Ahsoka was very much destroyed at the end of Clone Wars, when I believe all the clone troopers turned on everyone. But he was recovered by I believe Rex at some point at the end of that episode or at the end of the episode. So maybe it's him. But lastly, let's get into some theories. What theories you guys got about what's going to be happening next with the Clone Wars buddies?
I mean, I feel like they're gonna connect with the Clone Wars guys, with Rafa and Trace. I feel like they're gonna connect everything to the upcoming shows. Kenobi, Boba Fett. I look at War of the Bounty Hunters, which just came out as a comic book, right? And it's so Boba Fett centric that you're like, are we in for a new era of just Boba Fett content fucking hitting you in the face everywhere you look? They're doing the Book of Boba Fett show. They're doing the comic book now. Why not bring him into this show? Like I said, have Daniel Logan play him like a little bit more mature Boba Fett. Maybe he's just starting to get a little peach fuzz on his chin. And Kenobi. We got Kenobi next. Why not bring him into this show? I mean, you've got I forget the name of the voice actor that's done it through the Clone Wars, but I guarantee he'll come back. I mean, he's not turning that down. And you've got Cody in this show, who we've seen as part of like the Death Squad or whatever in the trailers, and we've seen like leaked figures and stuff. Cody will probably be after Kenobi in his show. I would have to imagine that would be a decent storyline for it at least. So why not connect them here? Why not introduce that storyline here? I think that their contact is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Old Ben.
What about you, Clem?
Yeah, I was trying because I don't know how many of the Jedi we know are around after Order 66. So I was like, I guess it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's all I could think of. So I do like that. this is a theory that I didn't think of until like just 2 minutes ago. I think Robbie Fox may be a bad guy because the way you said Kenobi and Boba Fett, it got a little bit of Jabba to it, a little bit Fortuna, you know. So
that's just the Jersey in me, man. That's the wretched hive of scum and villainy I come from.
You're on the sus list, Bob. Don't worry, you've just been added just like that.
Watching too much Sam Witwer, Robbie.
Yeah,
one of the great Kenobi screams of all times. Kenobi! Oh, that gets you fired up, and that's another great.
That's what I told my Uncle Den. By the way, I said just stay tuned. I said the little John Williams cues, those are nice, but the redemption of Maul, that's what the meat and potatoes of the Clone Wars was for me. Like, he's such a badass by the end of that. By season 7, it starts off a little wonky when he's got the spider legs and he's screaming. That's like, what are we doing here? But of course, Filoni lands that fucking ship like they do in The Mandalorian when it's coming in like that, and he just fucking crashes it in. He lands it.
Always lands it. So I think whatever Jedi that they're talking to in the hologram or whatever else, I mean, might be Kenobi. He definitely looked like Kenobi because it had the same robe and all that. I don't think I've ever seen Ahsoka wear a robe like Jedi robes, and she probably wouldn't be since she's not a Jedi anymore. But maybe Ahsoka, because I feel like things are pointing to her. I think whatever that Jedi is, there's a decent probability that the sight of that Jedi could set Wrecker off like 100%, like off the ledge. You know what I mean? Because seeing the Jedi are basically what that ship is all about. So maybe that would be the thing that flips him. If not that, maybe I think eventually Omega is going to like use the Force or something, or do something Jedi-esque, and maybe that is what sets off Wrecker, and then that's going to be like, remember how they said like there's something in here that's going to make you cry? Like maybe
that would be
put down Wrecker
up. If he goes after Omega and she's just like, her cute Omega self, like, I can't hurt you, like I don't want to hurt anybody, and he's trying to hurt, and then the Bad Batch has to fucking kill him. Oh my god, that would break some hearts.
That'd be absolutely brutal. That's what I'm afraid of more than anything else right now. Is the of Mice and Men arc, like you were saying before, for Wrecker.
And throwing Omega into the mix there and like putting her in the middle of it just makes it worse. Just makes it sting a little bit more. She's too pure for that.
Yeah. Yes, agreed. But yeah, I mean, love this episode. I think again that they are very much like dedicated to this more serial sort of sense to it, with like the more kind of overarching subplot of like, hey, what's up with Wrecker? Hey, what's the deal with Omega? And like you're kind of discovering like bit by bit as you go. That's obviously a big Filoni, I feel like, almost trademark, and he did that a lot in Clone Wars. I think Clone Wars was a little bit more like substantiated by arcs as opposed to like Mandalorian. But this is going to be, I think, more interesting as we go along, and they delve more into like a couple multi-episode arc at least, because we do have quite a few episodes left. 16, as I've been told 1,000 times, but sometimes 14. I don't know. I think we have 16. I think we have 16 left. But
and I'm excited to see more Crosshair. Like, it's been a minute now, so I'm itching to get more Crosshair.
Agreed. I'm super excited to see just everything come to a head. But again, thank you guys as always, Clem and Robbie, for joining. We'll be back next Friday for the next episode. Very pumped. I'm again just so worried for what we're going to eventually get from Wrecker. I just don't want to see what I think is going to happen. I don't want it.
And also, don't forget, not only for Clem and for Robbie, but also for the mouse in your studio.
Yes, and from the mouse in my studio, and from the construction crew.
This shows everyone. Yep, the construction crew, for them as well. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.